and welcome to Nonprofits Mean Business Too, where we will delve into services provided in our community by nonprofit organizations. I'm your host, Krista Stadler, joined by Tracy Leverone, the Pacific Island Regional Ambassador for the National Association of Residential Property Managers, otherwise referred to as NARPM. Welcome, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
Tracy's joining us from Kona, but she is the ambassador for all of Hawaii, of the Hawaiian Islands. And Tracy, tell us a little bit about NARPM and your role with the organization, how long you've been with the organization.
Well, I joined up with NARPM in 2012. I became our chapter president in 2015, and I was the president over here for 3 years. Now I'm the past president and the acting secretary and the government affairs chairman.
And the regional ambassador.
And the regional ambassador.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just focus on the regional ambassador part of all your tasks. Sounds like another full-time job. Oh my goodness. What specifically does the regional ambassador do?
Well, NARPM is made up of regions. It's a national organization and it's a large country. So there's regional vice presidents that are assigned to different regions across the country. And those regions are large geographical areas. So each RVP is assigned a number of ambassadors to focus on specific areas. So our RVP is in charge of the Pacific region, which is the West Coast, and Hawaii. And she actually resides in Atlanta. So I'm the boots on the ground gal for our region. I live here and I work with the folks here and we know what's going on. So I'm kind of the liaison between the chapters and the national.
Let's talk about, because our audience is wondering, well, what does NARPM do? Let's talk about, and I've just, for full disclosure, have been involved with NARPM since, oh my goodness, 2008, I believe. Tell us specifically, give us just a rundown of who belongs to NARPM, who do they support, what are the benefits of belonging to NARPM and maybe hiring someone that is affiliated with NARPM?
Well, NARPM is an organization for property managers. It's probably the largest national organization of its type. They basically started as a grassroots organization in the 80s to just help each other out and to try to, make sure, they were doing things right. It used to be that property management was just a sales agent's side job for their client, right? So as the property management grew and the personal computers came into the workplace, so the property managers were able to take on more properties and it really kind of grew. So they started out with like 13 members that year, 1988, and now there's 5,500 plus members. So, and their focus really is on education. They want to make sure that, that we're not getting in trouble, that we kind of keep up with the laws, and we have ethics, and we're taking the best possible care of our clients. And representing them in the best possible way to take care of their properties and their tenants.
Yes, so important. I think one of the things for me that I just love about NARPM is the fact that we share information, we share forms that might be beneficial. No one's kind of holding it to themselves. There's a real feeling of openness and wanting our other property managers, even if they work for obviously other companies, to have that information. I just love that part of it. As far as government governmental issues, bills, and things like that, legislation that's coming down. What type of involvement does the organization have with that?
Well, they're really involved. They have the national level of the legislative committee, and then there's subcommittees for, you know, for all of the areas, and then the chapters all have their own committees, and the committees talk to each other and keep involved, but they really want to make sure that they're staying up on top of the laws, and they advocate for us for residential property management.
Are there any pending bills coming down the pike now, or things that are being worked on or of concern?
Well, yeah, right now the main national focus is phase 4 of the COVID or the CARES Act, which is they're advocating for rental assistance versus extending the eviction moratorium. You know, it's like we really want to do away with that, you know, that part about never being able to get a bad tenant out of the property, but you know, assistance is required during these times, so they are advocating for rental assistance. And there's also, you know, there's also some clarification needed in how things are written. You know, I don't know how often the general public or most people try to read the bills that are coming across, but sometimes they're very about as clear as mud. Yes. So we're really pushing for clarification on the language on how the CARES Act will work after the eviction moratorium has stopped. So that's the national focus. Locally, they've extended sorry, I'm going to look at my notes here.
No, look at your notes. Go ahead.
They have $636 million in CARES funds in this state. 100 million of that is going or is allocated for rental assistance. They are extending the rental assistance through the end of the year, $500 per family, and or 50% of the rental amount, whichever is less. And they expect to help 34,000 families with that money. So that's kind of what's going on in the local front. And then of course, we all know that about the eviction moratorium being extended through August, and the 14-day quarantine also being extended, and you know, all of that stuff that we're just trying to keep up with. What are we on, the 10th proclamation supplement now? So it's a lot to keep up with, and you know, NARPM really helps us to try to, you know, keep those things straight. And the legislative committees, they just stay involved, and then they share that information with the members so that we can make sure that we're able to share that information with our owners, and also any relevant information to the tenants that might help them get rental assistance and things of that nature.
And as far as I know that each chapter likes to have somebody that's designated for government affairs. Do they actually, you know, go out into the legislation or make trips to Washington, D.C.? I'm talking about normally, not during this time with COVID, but are they doing things like that, like getting in front of lobbyists and things like that?
They are. The legislature, the legislative committee goes to Washington in May, and the first year they had maybe 20 people, and this is we're a few years into it. I don't have the exact stats, but we're up to, you know, over 200 people going nationally to show up, and it's very organized so that they can ask questions and lobby and do things like that. So yeah, and in the state of Hawaii, of course, their legislative meets in January. So they don't know if they're going to be able to meet this year. So kind of trying to work out how we're going to be able to communicate with them in a different way. This year in May, when they had the legislative session, when we go to Washington, D.C., they had it all online, virtually. And you could go to these different areas and pop from one meeting to another meeting to check out the parts that you wanted to check out. So there was a lot of more attendance because you didn't have to try to figure out how to go to Washington, D.C. and things like that. And then NARPM shares that with the membership so that you have the information.
That's actually kind of an odd benefit.
Yeah.
I say that, but us being able to utilize other ways to be participants and whatnot. I mean, and normally, I apologize for the sirens in the background, guys, coming through here. Normally, NARPM meets, each of the chapters meet how often? Is there a requirement for how often they have to meet from national?
Yeah, their bylaws require a certain number of times a year, but most of the chapters meet on a monthly basis. It always was like a luncheon with the speaker. And these days they're virtual meetings, but there's benefits to the virtual meetings. And it's kind of a, kind of miss just meeting with people and socializing and networking physically. But, the virtual meetings do have their benefits, and that's, we have a much larger pool of speakers to pick from. I mean, we live in an island, and so getting relevant, fresh material, relevant speakers like that continuously becomes challenging. But virtually, this week our chapter had a national speaker, and he's in Texas, and he jumped on and we had a great luncheon virtually. So, and it was great information, and the chapters get to jump in on other chapters meetings, and we can share on a larger scale. So that's
I participated and it was awesome. I'm almost envisioning that maybe in the future we'll use like a big screen, because here in Oahu we have a huge membership, and we can continue to bring people in virtually, even if we're all getting together in one room, if we go back to that at some point,
Yeah.
Because it is quite costly for folks to get on an airplane to fly all the way out here, stay in a hotel. And I think the chapter normally pays for that if we bring it. Yeah.
To a certain extent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And as far as the folks that are in each chapter, do chapters get involved with their local board of realtors or fair housing? Do chapters typically have communication and work with them?
We do. We actually have our local board is a membership to our NARPM chapter. And I think that, I don't know if that's true for Oahu, but I think that's also true with Big Island East. And yeah, we're always in touch with them. And I know that the chapter president in East Hawaii is also on the board, or on the legislative committee with their local realtor board. And I am on our side of the island too. So it just kind of all works together and melds together.
Yeah, absolutely. So were you saying that NARPM is an affiliate member of the Board of Realtors, or the Board of Realtors is an affiliate member of NARPM, or both?
We have the West Hawaii Association of Realtors is an affiliate of our chapter.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, we like affiliate members. Yeah. So for the audience, so there's regular membership, which is an actual licensed person, property manager, which has to have a license, real estate license. And then our affiliates would be, what you tell us what our affiliates would be. Affiliate members.
Affiliates are just, they're in a supportive role for our chapter. And then they usually offer services that, that to our members, and sometimes at a discounted rate, or they can it's, it helps them to network and grow their business as well too. And usually can get referred out. So, and they're in the same field that we're all surrounding in. So they
Right.
feed off of us and we feed off of them. So it really just works out very well.
No, it's great. It's great. And you can count on them. They're going to show up on time and whatnot. Well, if you can believe it, we're halfway through the show. So we're going to take a little break. Please join us back with Tracy Leverone, and we'll talk a little bit more about NARPM. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Rusty Komori, host of Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. I was the head coach for the Punahou boys varsity tennis team for 22 years, and we were fortunate to win 22 consecutive state championships. My show is based on my book, also titled Beyond the Lines, and it's about leadership, creating a superior culture of excellence, and finding greatness. I feature a wide range of amazing guests who share valuable insights about how going beyond the lines leads to success in everything you do in life. I'm looking forward to you joining me every Monday at 11 a.m. Aloha.
Aloha and welcome back to Nonprofits Mean Business Too. I am your host, Krista Stadler, and we are joined again by Tracy Leverone, the Pacific Island Regional Ambassador for the National Association of Residential Property Managers. So normally, Tracy, at least up to this point, all of the folks I've interviewed have been more community related to community type efforts that directly impact the community, and people can go out and volunteer and whatnot. As far as NARPM, I know, and I'd like you to share with us also, NARPM does also provide support to other charities. Don't you do that typically on an annual basis? Select a charity?
We do every year. Every year we each chapter selects a charity of their choice, and then we make a donation to them, or sometimes it's a voluntary thing where we jump in and help. One year our chapter, or maybe it was more than once, I don't know, Habitat for Humanity, we joined up and helped them to build stuff that for a day, but we always donate to some cause every year, and every chapter does that. It's part of their chapter excellence. Every chapter has compliance that they go through to make sure that they're complying with all the laws of having a nonprofit organization, and anything that the national organization requires. And then we have chapter excellence that we strive to make our chapters better, greater presence in our community.
How many chapters are there in the state of Hawaii?
Currently, there are 3. There are 2 on the Big Island. In fact, the first chapter in Hawaii was created on the Big Island, and that eventually split into 2 separate chapters, one for East Hawaii and one for West Hawaii. And then Oahu has a chapter, and of course that's the biggest chapter of the state.
And what do you feel like right now, with everything going on with the pandemic, is the biggest challenge now and maybe going forward, or are there any?
Well, I don't know if it's challenges. It's property management. There are always challenges. It's just making adjustments and how you move forward. But our future for our organization is strong. We're a strong, supportive organization. We really push education. We want property managers to be educated. We have designations, which was set up to identify properties managers as recognized professional in their field. So, we like that. You can have anybody managing a home, but you really want to work with somebody who has taken the time to educate themselves and who is making sure that they're following fair housing laws and keeping up with all of the current laws, which seem to change often, yearly, whatever, during COVID, weekly. So,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit crazy, but this organization is really involved legislatively and educationally, and we work diligently with the chapters and have been for many years. Since its inception, we do national general conventions and bring everybody together. There's 600 people that go to these things, and there's always classes and breakout sessions, and people are willing to share, like you said earlier, Krista, their knowledge, general knowledge. Of course, you're not giving away the farm, on how you're doing your specific business, but like forms and particular ways of doing things. And sometimes just, having that networking and understanding or hearing how other people's are facing things across the nation and in their own way with their laws really gives you a broader knowledge of how it's working in this country. And that really puts NARPM members above the grid. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the greatest thing for me, it hasn't been so much since I've been in Oahu because I've been here a short time, but in Kona, I could pick up the phone and call any of our NARPM members and just run something by them, a scenario that I was dealing with. At the time I owned my own company, so it wasn't part of a big company. And that was great. And not to be judged for not knowing the answer and maybe working it through with somebody I respected and may know a little bit more or have been in the industry a bit longer. And it's just great to have that resource, it was wonderful. And just to touch briefly, since we are nonprofits mean business, how do you stay funded? How do you accumulate funds to run your chapter?
Well, we can do fundraisers, but right now it's kind of tough with COVID. It's kind of hard to get out into the world. And normally we have lunches and there's a lunch fee, and that kind of helps to pay for things and also fund our bank account. But we can do, other things. We just can't do them right now. But when we can get past COVID, then we can get out and about a little bit more and, see where that goes.
So membership, I would imagine your membership.
Membership is huge.
Affiliate membership.
Really, it's a good deal for the amount of education and information that you get out of it. It's huge, and it keeps you out of trouble, and that's worth a lot. And then the affiliates are in Hawaii. The affiliates really don't, they don't pay a large fee, but that definitely helps to fund our chapters, and it's a benefit to them too, because they have a great deal of networking abilities. And we have, the property managers in the room are managing hundreds of doors, right? So that means business for them too. So it's just a win-win situation.
So if there's a property manager that is out there right now that is not heard of NARPM or isn't involved and maybe is interested in being involved, or a vendor, someone that would be working with property managers, what's the best way for them to get in contact with their local chapter? Or can they go to the main national and find that? What's the best way for them to reach
Easily
out?
find that on the NARPM national website is just super easy. It's narpm.org. And it's very simple to go to narpm.org, and you can go search for a chapter, and it will take you right to the area that you're looking for, and it will list all of the members and how to contact the chapter, how to contact the members in that chapter if you're looking for anybody particular. I had a rental that I bought in Reno, and I just like that area. My husband and I love it up there. I didn't know anybody there, but we bought a property, and that's how I found my property manager. I looked in NARPM, and I hired a NARPM member who was the past chapter president up there, and she did an awesome job for us. And she was trustworthy, and I understood where she was coming from, and she treated us very well. And that's how I found them. So
that's great. Well, believe it or not, we have come to pretty much the end of the show, but I just want to thank you so much. I know you're so busy. I know that, and appreciate you being here and sharing all of your, experience and insight into NARPM. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you will join me on my next show, Thursday, August 27th at noon, for our interview with Deanna Dre, the Executive Director of Diamond Head Theater. Until then, please stay safe and healthy. Mahalo.